No, it's picked up a lot of comments, isn't it? When Carragher said about Mo Salah not winning. So to give it a bit of context, he was meant to have said something along the lines of the reason why Mo Salah won't win the Ballon d'Or is because the African Nations Cup isn't of the level of a Euros or a South American Cup or Copa America.
Yeah.
And I think that comment is representative of the majority of people out there would say that. I don't think that's right. I think that's an ignorant kind of thought process because...
We'll get back to Rio in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And also, don't forget, if you've got something to say, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, the comment section is for you, so please write your thoughts in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments, and he's looking forward to reading yours. Anyway, in this clip, Rio Ferdinand is going to be talking about some controversial comments Jamie Carragher made about the African Nations Cup. And the Big D's not too happy with some of the things Rio's said in this clip. I think some of the things are misguided. And yeah, the Big D kind of agrees with Jamie Carragher on this point. But anyway, have a look at the clip, see what you think, and then stick around for after the clip. The Big D is going to be giving his thoughts on said clip. Here's Rio.
Yeah, I don't think you can go. I don't think it's about sacking the manager.
So we've spoken about Mo Salah, devastating on the weekend.
Decisive.
Could be a Ballon d'Or winner if he carries on like this, if I'm honest with you. But we've also seen the comments made by Jamie Carragher on Mo Salah. He might not win the Ballon d'Or. We got to go back to that. Is he saying because he's not going to be able to win another major tournament and, you know, that's why he won't win the Ballon d'Or? Or if Liverpool don't win the Champions League, then he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or? What was that contents and what did you think of his comments? Because he's had a few howlers in the last few weeks.
Jamie Carragher, he's had a few, he's been called out on a few things. But the Haaland one, I think, was a little bit strange because he was actually, you could see he was messing about with Haaland, saying that he didn't want to face, that's why he's not playing because of Rudiger. Yeah. I think he was joking, but the way it was presented to the manager by some stupid journalist was like, it was a serious comment. And obviously his reaction was what you'd expect from Pep. But no, it's picked up a lot of comments, isn't it? When Carragher said about Mo Salah not winning. So to give it a bit of context, he was meant to have said something along the lines of the reason why Mo Salah won't win the Ballon d'Or is because the African Nations Cup isn't of the level of a Euros or a South American Cup or Copa America. Yeah. And I think that comment is representative of the majority of people out there would say that. I don't think that's right. I think that's an ignorant kind of thought process because the African Nations Cup, if you go to Didier Drogba, Abidi Pele, over there, Samuel Eto'o, down to the all players now, Mahrez, Mo Salah, Mane now, they'll tell you this is that we have to win this. Huge. It's a demand in their countries to win this. Yes, it doesn't get back to resources wise like Euros, etc. But doesn't that mean that you have to devalue it? It's a continent of huge power, a continent that contributes to European football through players immensely, massively. African players this season have participated in 59,110 minutes of football in the Premier League. South American players have participated in 62,302 minutes. So there's nothing really between it. Both these continents stand side by side, South America and Africa. So they should be respected accordingly. But what I would say is because of the lack of resources that are put into it, and listen, we've had some African players that come out and have actually canned it for the lack of resources and hotel rooms and what goes on, flight issues, etc. So then obviously the narrative then from the media becomes, it's like it's a Mickey Mouse tournament, but it ain't. If you look at the winners of the African Player of the Year, these things they're important. Players. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and these guys celebrate. You saw Lookman, when he celebrated huge. This is big moments for these players. So so obviously Micah and Daniel kind of was putting Jamie kind of straight on it, but I understand what Jamie's saying, but I don't agree with it. But I understand that is the majority's fault, if we're honest, and it's not right. But a majority of people out there do think that about the African nation stuff. But I think that the federations like FIFA need to make sure that they implement a way of thinking and language around the African nations that actually equals the Euros and the Copa America. I think that's the point.
Agreed. And also, like, look, I know you can't shove every tournament in the summer, you know, but maybe, I don't know, is it changing the time of year that it's in? I don't know if that works, because I know there's the other competitions. And I think our producer George said it right as well. Like, the standard of football has increased so massively as well. When you look at a lot of those players are playing in Europe anyway. And is that really different? Is it a different level from the Copa?
No, I think what Jamie was trying to say as well, where again I think he's right in what he's saying, because that is what happens. If Mo Salah won the African Nations Cup, that would have no bearing on anyone's voting. Which is wrong. When they vote for the Ballon d'Or, which is absolutely wrong. Yeah. That's what he was saying. And one of the parts of what his argument was, if Mane, he finished second, I think it's 2022. Yeah. That has no bearing on anyone's vote. I don't think anyone, when they're voting, the captains and the media and the managers, I don't think they go, oh, before I just make a judgment on who is a top three, where did Mo Salah finish in the African nations? It's true. I don't think anyone asked that question. And that's wrong. That's where it needs to be changed. I think that's where, again, the language, where media, where FIFA need to start really punching that home, that the African nations has to be taken as serious as the Copa America and the Euros. Yeah. Because it's one of the biggest continents that contributes to our football here in Premier League, but also in Europe.
Agreed. Well said, Rio. And I think Daniel and Micah saying something about it was key as well, man.
I don't think Jamie was too happy about that.
No. He's had a few. Like,
he was on the back foot, boy. He was on the back
He's looking for Keno to support. Keno just
Keno just said, yeah, let on pass.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, you know what? I want to say, Rio, thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't like some of the things that Rio Ferdinand said in this clip. For the record, the Big D loves Rio Ferdinand. Love him. I think, generally speaking, I think he seems like a good bloke, absolute Man United legend, and he's one of my favourite Manchester United players of all time. But there's just something off about this clip, really. I don't like when he's talking about the language needs changed around the African Nations Cup. People's way of thinking needs changed around the African Nations Cup. And it's like, what? That just seems like policing of speech, policing of thought. I don't like that at all. Not at all. People are entitled to their own opinions. And they can, as far as the Big D is concerned, anyone can say anything. And if they've got an opinion about the African Nations Cup, then that's their opinion. You don't have to agree with it. Clearly Rio Ferdinand doesn't agree with it. Fair enough. But to think that that the language and the way of thinking around the African Nations Cup needs to change? Come on, pal. Let's not go down that route. But I don't agree with Rio Ferdinand in what he's saying there about the African Nations Cup. I think Jamie Carragher is accurate, really. The African Nations Cup, it isn't as good as the Euros. It's not. The quality of competition in the Euros is more intense than it is in the African Nations Cup. Now, it clearly means a lot to some people, the African Nations Cup, and fair enough. Absolutely fair enough, but it's nowhere near the top level competition. The two top level competitions in international football are the World Cup and the Euros, and then it's the Copa America, and then probably the African Nations Cup. And he talks about however many players from Africa have contributed to the Premier League compared to South American players. Well, all right, fair enough, but how many African teams have won the World Cup? African teams get a chance to prove themselves as being the best teams in the world every 4 years, just like all the European teams and just like the South American teams as well. They get a chance every 4 years. It's no coincidence that all of the winners of the World Cup have been from Europe or South America. There's a reason for that. It's because they have got the best teams, and it's a team game. And fair enough, there have been plenty of world-class players come out of Africa who play in the African Nations Cup. Absolutely. But in terms of the teams themselves, they don't have the same depth as the European teams or, well, some of the South American teams. So what language needs to be changed? You know, what ways of thinking needs to be changed? Football is a results business. You get awards, you get recognition if you win games and win tournaments. That's it. And, you know, this thought of... I don't think many people... Like, when it comes to the Ballon d'Or, I think the only competitions that really make a difference between a player winning a Ballon d'Or and not are the Euros, the World Cup, and the Champions League. I don't think many people think about the Copa América. Because the Copa América, I mean... Well, yeah, fair enough. The Copa América is class, to be fair, because you've got Brazil, you've got Argentina, you've got Colombia, you've got Uruguay. But even Colombia and Uruguay are only good every now and then, really. It's only Brazil and Argentina who have been consistently world-class, have consistently world-class teams over the past 40 years. So it's a bit like La Liga. La Liga is only a 2 or 3 horse league. It's either Real Madrid, Barcelona, and every now and then it's Atletico Madrid. And, you know, that's the same with the South American League. But in Europe, you've got France, you've got Germany, you've got Italy, you've got Spain, you've got Holland. England have been class lately. There's been loads of teams over the years that have absolutely smashed it in Europe and the World Cup. So, I mean, if Egypt won the World Cup with Mo Salah as the top scorer, then fair enough. Fair enough. But, you know, to suggest that the African Nations Cup is on the level as the Euros and the CONMEBOL tournament, it's ludicrous. Now, it does make a fair point. Resources, that maybe if there was an influx of resources and they up the ante on that front, then fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe that would improve the game. It would improve the teams at grassroots level and so on and so forth. Fair enough. But that's not the case yet. And the proof is in the pudding. The World Cup is the ultimate differentiator when it comes to international competitions. And there hasn't been an African team even got to a World Cup final. I mean, as an African team got to the semi-final? I'm not sure. Maybe. They've got to the quarters. Fair enough. But no, I think Rio Ferdinand's wrong there. And yeah, Mo Salah needs to win the Champions League this year if he's to be considered a Ballon d'Or contender. But that's the same with any player. Any player. That's the same with Mbappe, that's the same with Messi, that's the same with Ronaldo. You know, people don't get awards just for the sake of it. So Mo Salah needs to prove that he's the best player in the world, and he's making an attempt at doing that now, fair enough. And if Liverpool win the Champions League and the Premier League, and he's their best player, then quite rightly he should probably win the Ballon d'Or. Fine. But you've got to win the Champions League, mate. The Champions League is the most difficult competition a player can win because that is the highest concentration of footballing talent on a pitch at any one time. The 4 teams that get to the Champions League final could probably beat any team in the world, including international teams. So, yeah, so why should the African Nations Cup? Why? It's not as good not as good. It's just not as good. But anyway. Yeah. So no, I don't think there's any ignorance in thinking that the African Nations Cup is not as good as the Euros. It's plain to see that the Euros is better. It's plain to see. But anyway, what do you guys think? Has the Big D got it wrong? Big D doesn't think so, but maybe you do. So thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will see it in the next one.